Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Matthew Scholz. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage and also like or comment.
With Jake Gagne's 14th win of 2021, he's on the cusp of wrapping up his first Superbike title. But will he play it safe or will he go for win 15? We find out right now on FS1. Let's go! You've landed on round 8 of the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. From New Jersey Motorsports Park, it's round 8 and 9 for 2021. It's MotoAmerica Superbikes at New Jersey. And we are setting the stage for HONOS Superbike race number 2 of the weekend, our first of the day. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time world champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, the story, as we know, is this championship is getting ready to get wrapped up by Jake Gagne, who is on an incredible run.
Yeah, an incredible run that I don't think we'll see broken today. This morning it was really odd. He was 4th in warm-up, so I was thinking, oh, is there something going on there? But I think Jake is just ready to go today and get this championship wrapped up.
This is what happened yesterday in race 1.
Yeah, you can see here he does what he's been doing all year, Greg, just getting that great start. Really interesting first turn, though. Looked like he sat up a little bit early and caught some of the other guys off by surprise. Tony Elias there jumps himself into second. On that other attack, Yamaha, Matthew Scholz, who has looked strong all weekend, would eventually get that spot. As you see Tony running a little bit wide here in turn number 9. But it was all this guy again, Greg, out front, Gagne controlling the pace and doing what he needed to do there and getting another big win.
Yeah, and this is what it looked like for Jake Gagne. All he needs is 2 points more than Matthew Scholz today to clinch the championship. He's currently on that 14-race win streak. We've only had 15 races, but look at this. 233 consecutive laps led. That goes back to Road Atlanta Race 2, lap number 9, May 2nd. Absolutely incredible, and he's on the grid right now with our very own Hannah Lopa.
Greg, fresh Alina Performance Yamaha team, they have been hard at work all season, and it has really paid off. As you mentioned, Jake Gagne has been an dominating force in this HONOS Superbike field, and it could very well all come down to this race right now. Jake, how much are you willing to risk out it all, right?
It's just another race. I haven't done the math. We haven't talked about it. I'm just going to go out there and see if we can. We got 2 races today, too, so we'll just go out there, do our best, try to get a good start, see if we can win a couple races and see what happens. But it's just another race day.
Well, best of luck out there. Very calm and collected Jake Gagne. And let's get back to Jamie Howe, who's out here on the grid as well.
And with Bobby Fong, who through the first practice and qualifying sessions was between 1 and 2 seconds off the pace of the leaders. But during the first race yesterday, we finally saw some pace out of you, Bobby. You brought home a 4th place finish. What do you do? What have you done overnight to continue that forward progression with 2 races today?
You know, it's just a lot of hard work on this end of the crew, and we're just going to keep steadily progressing. Each time we're on track, we're chipping away at it, and you know, I have a way better position today to start off with, so hopefully we get a good start like yesterday and have a smooth, consistent race and try to pull the moves at the end.
It all comes down to the start, Greg.
Yeah, it certainly does. And, of course, how they finished yesterday is how they grid up today. So Bobby Fong has a 4th place start. But, Jason, it's all about New Jersey Motorsports Park and who's got this place figured out.
Yeah, you can see the run down to turn 1's a bit of a long one. So when you hear Bobby say he wants to get a good start, if he can get down to turn 1 in the top 3, it'll make his race a lot easier, Greg, as you rip through turns 3, B, and C. Hard turns on these Superbikes. There'll be a lot of movement underneath them as they go through there. Next one really is turn 7, 8, 9. You saw Tony make a small mistake there in turn 9 yesterday that allowed Matthew to get through and set sail and try to catch Gagne. But then you got that run all the way to turn 12. Very, very fast here on a Superbike coming onto this front straightaway. Fun lap here, short lap here.
Yeah, definitely a short lap. Now let's welcome in Roger Hayden, who gets to go on his Ducati and bring us the Ducati Fast Lap.
This track is a really tight technical track. Let's look at some passing zones, starting with turn 1. Hard braking, most riders going back to 2nd gear. The hard part though is holding your line on the exit so the guy can't drive back underneath you. And then turn 4. A really fast right-hander, you let your momentum carry you out, put you on the inside for turn 5 where you can make a block pass into the tight left. And then the last corner, turn 12. A really fast right-hander leading onto the front straightaway. If you can get a good run out of there, you can maybe make the draft before the finish line.
Thanks so much, Roger Hayden, for that. All right, we're going to take a break. We're about 5.5 minutes from a race start. Can Gagne keep his streak alive and wrap up this championship?
All right, we get our time to talk about things as Greg and Jason prepare to do the Fox Sports broadcast. I'm Robbie Floyd with Roger Hayden. We got 3.5 minutes, Raj, and we saw you on that fast lap around there on the Ducati. Now, there are a few places to pass here, but really the main thing that everybody needs to watch is the start of this race.
Yeah, the main thing I think for a lot of these guys is just getting a really good start. You know, just do not let Jake get in his rhythm early. Pull away. Try to break up his momentum first lap. You know, there's a good place to pass. Turn 5 on the very first lap. You see a lot of passes there. So hopefully, you know, a guy like Matthew Skoltz, who I think can run with Jake if he gets off with him, and just has to get a really good start. Like I said, don't let Jake get in that rhythm early, because then it just seems like he just gets in a really good flow, and from there it makes it really hard. You cannot spot Jake Gagne 1 to 2 seconds early in the race, because it's going to be too difficult to make that up.
With some of these other guys, too, they don't want to just throw it into that first turn uncontrollably, too, and look like don't be that guy. But they almost needed to do it a little harder than they've been. Yeah,
I mean, you don't want to do anything crazy, but it's time to get a little bit more aggressive, you know, especially turn 1, turn 5. Take a shot at it. I mean, if you run him a little bit wide, I mean, definitely don't hit him, but you have to do something different to try to change up the way the races have been going.
The Fongers found something, though, as of late. I was talking to his teammate, and he said, yeah, he went for some bigger changes coming into race number 1, and he looked better yesterday.
And one thing, Bobby looked really good yesterday in the race, was right there, and it looked like he had the pace to get on the podium. He was right there, so for him, get a good start today, do the same thing. And also, talking about somebody who gets a really good start, Tony Elias. He's on the front row for this race, always gets a good start. Can usually put himself in a pretty good spot after turn 1. Even some of the other races I've seen Tony start second or third row, you know, be top 3 out of the first turn. So he's a guy that can get a good start because he from where he comes from, he knows how important it is.
Yeah, and he's starting the very inside of that too. And, you know, coming from a motocross world, I like that inside position. If he's a good starter, gets underneath, and as you say, Roger, you dictate what happens in that first turn. And there's Corey Alexander. They got that bike fired up. He's going to be riding in the Superbike Cup class. That is a stock 1000, and Sal's Pizza and HONOS and Ride HVMC. This is their local race. And look at that tribute bike, Engine 23 and the New York Fire Department. He wanted to do it for everybody involved yesterday, and that bike just didn't fire up on the start. And you could see the heartbreak in Corey's eyes.
Yeah, you could just feel the disappointment in his face, just because he had the pace to win. He was the guy that was quick all weekend, had a really good chance to win the stock 1000 race, but unfortunately the bike issue before the race. Home race, family, friends here, and that bike looks awesome. And also Alpine Stars, they knocked it out of the park with those leathers as well, with the reflectors, and hopefully he can put a good race on today for his hometown crowd.
He finished yesterday. I think he was the second fastest of the Superbike Cup competitors. Jake Lewis finished 9th. Corey Alexander finished 11th. All right, predictions, Roger?
I'm going to predict we see something a little different. Maybe not a different winner, but I think the first couple laps will look different than we've seen before.
Another guy to look for, Hector Barbera, was the fastest in the morning warm-ups. Not sure where he's going to work up to, but watch out for that white BMW.
Today's Superbike coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Medallia, the pioneer and market leader in customer and employee experience.
Back at New Jersey Motorsports Park for HONOS Superbike race number 2. This is how they finished yesterday, with a couple little tweaks, obviously, but this is the grid. Gagne, Skoltz, and Elias.
Yeah, and then Bobby Fong, Loris Baz, Josh Herron. What we didn't see yesterday is that Kyle Wyman actually got into it with Hector a little bit at the beginning, so you're going to see him up in 8th. Peterson 7th, Jake Lewis. Then we got Bradley Ward, Alexander, and Uribe. Ashton Yates, Michael Gilbert, and Heather's Hector Barbera in 15th. Had some small technical issues yesterday. Wyman, but Lewis, and Lee. Barbera was quickest this morning.
The quickest this morning?
Yeah. Ferris, Flinders, Heckles, Dunham, Giannato, and Jeffrey Perk going to round out the field. Oh, I'm sorry. We got Jeremy Coffey and Shakespeare at the back. But, yeah, this morning Hector Barbera was fastest. And so it's too bad he's coming from 15th. So his whole goal right now is just get back up in those first 6, 7, 8 spots, so he'll have a better grid spot for today's second race.
That was on board with Tony Elias. As we look at the 32, Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha's Jake Gagne on the cusp of his second MotoAmerica Championship, first in HONOS Superbike. 20 laps scheduled in this race. 21 laps scheduled in this race. Sorry about that. When the lights go out, we're getting racing.
Ooh, Matthew Schultz gets a good launch. Jake Gagne does as well, but Matthew had a nice little run. Let's see if it's the same as yesterday. Look at Bobby Fong from the second row. Bobby Fong rolls around the outside and gets the start that he wants. Gagne's up underneath him as they go into turn 2. Matthew Schultz is also up underneath Bobby Fong as they roll down into 3, but a better start. Just like Bobby said, he wanted to get a good start, Greg, and then try to do something towards the end of the race with these guys. But now Matthew Schultz has got the start he needed where he could be right up behind the 32 of Gagne. He's got to not let him get too far out on this first lap or two.
What's so impressive about the M4XR Suzuki of Bobby Fong, and talking to Frank Aragaki, his crew chief, earlier today, was that their biggest struggle is when the bike is full of fuel and on fresh tires. The bike starts to work better as the tire life starts to beat in and wear off a little bit. So Bobby Fong with a good start, but you could see early on he was up and out of the saddle. That allowed Gagne and Schultz to get around.
Peterson has also made his way up through there into 4th, and also Tony Elias has gone a little bit backwards as Herron has made the pass on Tony Elias also. So Tony was like, what was he, 3rd or 4th coming up over the top of the hill? 4th, I believe, coming up over the top of turn 2, and he's quickly rushed back to 6th spot. But you can see that little bit of a gap. Gagne on those fresh Dunlop tires, just a little bit better as he normally is. But Schultz done a nice job to kind of keep him in touch. Bobby Fong is really the big mover on this lap. He puts himself early into a podium position, and we know how strong he is through the middle parts of the races. As you see Herron now making a move up underneath Cam Peterson. He's going to jump himself up into 4th place.
Jake Gagne at 22.9, so a 1/10 of a second quicker than he was yesterday from a dead stop with Schultz Fong in tow. And then this battle starting to shape up. Everybody looking for some track position. Cameron Peterson, who's had definitely a strong year as his first year on the M4XR Suzuki, your last year's Stock 1000 champion, mixing it up.
Yeah, this morning Josh Herron was quickest for part of the session, so maybe he has found something overnight as he's made some quick work of a couple fast guys, and he's going to be focusing up on those 3 up in front of him now. Tony's a little bit on this first lap, got beat up. He's going to get settled back in now and try to start picking off these guys in front of him, Greg.
And Jason, for any of these riders, especially Cam Peterson and Bobby Fong, if 3rd in the championship makes a difference, especially at the end of the year. Bonus, and it looks like is that going to be Fong down? Just as I was talking about, Fong was only 15 points behind his teammate for 3rd spot. So Bobby Fong puts his M4XR Suzuki on the ground. He's trying to get it up to see if it's rideable. So now that's going to move this battle all of a sudden, shifting down to Josh Herron for 3rd. So Gagne comes across the stripe, a 120.0 for Gagne, and a new race lap record for Jake Gagne.
And how about Matthew Schultz goes 20.3, which was our previous lap record before. So Matthew Schultz also matching the time that Cameron Beaubier did last year, but Gagne smashing it. As you can see here, Bobby Fong gets into turn 9, Greg. A little too much front brake pressure. He's going to lose the front. Couple little bumps in there. I've heard a couple of the riders saying you're going to be able to see it right here. He's going to go over, and you can see there's a little bit of a transition, and he just loses the front.
Yeah, that was the backside of that new asphalt that was laid down. Some riders commenting it feels like a tabletop on a road race bike.
And how about Gagne again goes purple in our screen on the second split. But I'm really impressed. Matthew Schultz isn't letting him get too far away. You know, these riders, they know what the lap times are around this place. They know what the fast times are. Gagne is going to see a 20 flat and think, wow, that's good. And then he's going to come through here on this next lap and only see +1 possibly and think to himself, wow. So, yeah, really fast laps by both of our leaders. As I see just outside our window, Bobby Fong has got that bike started and he's brought it back into pit lane.
So Jake Gagne lowering their track record set by Cameron Beaubier last year for race lap record. As Jason mentioned, it was a 120.3. The outright circuit record was Cameron Beaubier in 2020 in Superpole at a 19.8, as Gagne was only 0.2 of a second off of that in the race with a full fuel load. Unbelievable.
Yeah, pretty impressive, Greg. And when you think about it, they've just both gone 20.5, our first and second place guys. It is less than a second. We heard yesterday Matthew Schultz talking about how he feels like he's getting a little bit closer to Jake Gagne, and that is proven right off the bat here in our morning race. Talking to Chuck Cicchetto yesterday, a little bit that I saw him before I left the track, he said things are very harmonious right now over in the Westby crew, and everybody seems to be pretty happy as you see them going to work on Fong's bike.
Yeah, we do have another race today, so it's important, if they can, to get him back out on the motorcycle to get all the data they can. Frank Aragaki talking to me about that and how critical it is to get every single lap, because for Bobby Fong and the M4X Star Suzuki team, Jason, even this late in the season, they don't have a good baseline setting that seems to work. As Peterson looks like he's holding a tighter line, tried to go up the inside on Herron. He won't get that done, but Herron a little wide. Is the door open for Cam Peterson to go by? Yes. So now M4X Star Suzuki's Cam Peterson, where Bobby Fong exited the final spot on the podium moments ago. Now Cam Peterson owns it for the moment.
Yeah, this is going to be a big battle all the way, and you can see Loris Baz has tucked himself right in behind this trio in front of him. They're going to do their best to try to He's going to try to do his best to get that Ducati up front. Herron's now going to make another run on Cam Peterson as they get down into turn number 1. And look at Tony Elias. He gets in there really deep. Is he going to make the corner, Greg?
No! Tony's down!
Tony ends up crashing. You can see that happen really early. He was in there extremely deep. Just kept on trying his best to get that bike to turn. He had let off the brake lever, and you can see, Greg, he just slowly started to lose the front. So that's going to be a product of having a double bike draft coming down that front straightaway, and he's going to get into that corner just a little bit too deep and just wasn't able to get it turned.
Let's take a look at the replay, Jay, so you can see it forming early.
So right now, Greg, he's trying to release the lever and trying to continue to make the corner, but he just couldn't quite keep it on the track there. And
yeah, it looked like there was so much lean angle, Jay, and you just get over those ripple bumps right there, and he just lost it. So Tony Elias in race number 2. You can see
he had a double draft off of Cam and Josh Herron coming down that straightaway. So that's going to be the thing that got Tony in there just a little bit too deep. Gagne now with just a little bit of a break, 1.1, as he continues to hammer out these mid-20 lap times. Minute 20.6 last time through. Matthew Skoltz still doing a great job there. Minute 20.8.
And Jason, just to go back to Tony Elias for a second, he had just set the fastest Sector 4 split time of the race and had the fastest top speed we've seen at 173, where MotoAmerica measures it. And so it was a combination of an unbelievable Sector 4 split, a double draft, and the next thing you know, you find yourself in turn 1 and you're in a little too deep.
Yeah, you can see his initial grab of the brake. He had the rear wheel a foot off the ground, it looked like, and then you're underneath two guys, so you're trying not to make anything too bad happen with two guys to the outside of you there, and it looks like he's
Tony
got back
right in
up.
front of him.
It looks like Tony's just up in front of Gagne here.
So Jay, looking at Jake Gagne, and you heard what he was saying as the race, just before the race on the grid, where he was all focused just on the race result. Is this what you're seeing from this guy? I mean, in terms of body language, at first you can hear racers say, oh, yeah, it's not, this is just another race. Ooh. But it's in their brain. But looking at Jake Gagne, to me, it looks like he's definitely walking the walk right now.
It's almost good for Jake that he's got somebody like Matthew Skoltz right now pushing him as hard as he is, because it's going to take some of his attention away from the things that he was having to not focus on, which he doesn't want to focus on the championship. He just wants to focus on race wins. You can see Matthew Skoltz, his bike has actually looked pretty good to me this weekend. Like we said yesterday, they made a small gearing change, and that was about it.
Well, Hannah, Matthew Skoltz nearly broke the track record. He missed it by 0.03 of a second, but he is ripping.
He's definitely got a lot more confidence heading into today. We talked to Jake on the grid before the start of this race, and he told me he's not really feeling like he needs to take any risks. I asked Matt, what are you willing to risk? And he said he's willing to take big risks, especially in the opening laps. As Jason mentioned, they made changes to gearing for more stability, for more speed, and a little bit of change to the traction control in certain areas for more stability. And as you mentioned, he did do quicker laps and warm up. He feels really strong mid-race, so we'll see how these laps kind of click off here and if he's able to reel in Jake.
We saw Jason Uribe was the rider who was down on the Fly Racing ADR Motorsports entry. Uribe coming back from World Superbike. But yeah, and looking at Matthew Skoltz, he might be taking more risks, Jason, but it looks like it's in control. Matthew has been working so hard on his riding style, especially the release of the throttle and getting to the brakes. And incredible to do a 123.313 lap time, trying to chase down Jake Gagne when a 20.310 was the track record. So we're seeing some fast times out of riders here in MotoAmerica. And Jay, to be honest, this is a track, New Jersey Motorsports Park, which isn't noted for getting better and better and better in terms of traction over the years. So these riders absolutely shredding right now.
Yeah, we've got great weather today, which has definitely made it easier. I shouldn't say easier, but nicer for the lap times to come. You can see this battle for third is still hot and heavy here between Herrin and Cam Peterson, who's going to have a look down the inside. He's not going to be able to make it. Josh pretty strong down there into that turn 1 area. You can also see still Baz trying to hold on to the back of these two guys and trying to do something maybe a little bit later in the race. Both guys there, 21.9 for Herrin, 21.8 for Cam. Loris just to tick off at 22 flat. So also Hector Barbera has made his way through to 6th place, so that'll be good for him later on for today's second race. If he continues to stay there, he will be in the front 2 rows for the start.
Looking at Cameron Peterson, Jamie Howe, it's been a while since he's been on the podium.
Yes, off of one of his finishes of the season yesterday. When we saw him finish the race in 7th for Cam Peterson yesterday, and when you mentioned that 121.8, that's in 3/10 of his fast lap from the race today, and that's really where he struggled yesterday. He had the overall pace, but he couldn't consistently do it. He said after 5 laps, it was nearly unrideable for him. So that's what they worked on this morning, and after 8 laps, he was 1.2 seconds quicker than he was during the race yesterday. So he had a lot of positive energy going into the race today, and certainly getting ready for this afternoon also.
Yeah, now just looking at a podium. He hasn't had one, Jason, since race 1 at Laguna, Cameron Peterson. So he is hungry for it, as is Josh Herrin, who's back in action after being out a few weeks with COVID sickness and the birth of his new son. Herrin wanting to prove that he belongs here as well. There's the number 2, Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha, just leading an M4 X-Star Suzuki with Gagne out front, 3.4 seconds, and Matthew Skoltz is 5 seconds ahead of the battle we're looking at right now.
Yeah, and you can see Cameron looks like he has pace, but Herrin's really good in the spots he needs to be good at, which is in all these braking areas. So coming in here into turn 5, going to be very difficult to line the number 2 guy up there, and it's also going to be difficult to do it down into turn 1 because Herrin has pace, especially when it gets to getting on the brakes. He's very late, makes it very hard to pass.
And just behind them, of course, is Loris Baz on that Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York machine. That's the Panigale V4R. As we look at Tony Elias, left part of your screen, as he comes in. Darren Marshall, data technician, talking to Tony. And Darren, his first race back, the Canadian, this is his first race back in the U.S. all season long. Been doing a lot of data gathering and information from his home in Canada. You can see the disappointment on Tony's face because I can't wait to see that date. I wish we had time, but we have a full race scheduled today with 2 Superbike races and all our other races scheduled. But seeing that date will be interesting to see just how fast that Fresh Lean Attack Performance Yamaha was going. Josh Herrin starting to pull the pin a little bit on Cameron Peterson.
These guys are staying consistently in the high 21s.
Oof.
The other guys now are in low 21s that last time by for Gagne, 21.1. And it looks like Skoltz about 21.8. So 7/10 there, as you can see. But these guys also are in the 21s.
Jamie, what do you have on Bobby Fong?
Well, he's back out on track, Greg. You mentioned it. They needed to get that data so they can get ready for the second race today. And it was a pretty quick fix. They just had to unbend the handlebars and then fix the brake guard. There was some grass stuck in the wheel also, but it was pretty quick. He's back out so they can get some laps so they can tune that bike for this afternoon.
Okay, we'll take a look at Bobby Fong's progress.
That's
but
a hard
he missed
job
a couple
there.
laps. Yeah.
You know, when you know that you're down, but you've got to go out and get that race data. And, you know, he's going to have to come from a little bit further back on the grid. Today, I mean, in that first race there, things were really working out exactly like Bobby wanted. He up on those first 2 rows from yesterday's race result, gets a good start today, and unfortunately just slid off there. And but he's going to go out there, see if the changes that they made for this race really did make a difference.
So Josh Herrin in 3rd place at the moment. Gagne's come across the line now nearly 5 seconds ahead of Skoltz. So Skoltz put up a great fight the first couple laps, but Skoltz has got 5 seconds over Josh Herrin. Cameron Peterson now 0.3 of a second back. Loris Baz. Then you have Hector Barbera in 6th place. A good run for him on the BMW. Kyle Wyman, Corey Alexander, Bradley Ward, and Ashton Yates, your top 10. A look at the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team. And yeah, that's Araldo Faraci right there in the middle. He is in this paddock all year long. It's great to see Faraci back. But you know, when dealing with the Ducati Panigale V4R and this particular racetrack, Dunlop shod, it just is a stiff motorcycle and they haven't found a solution to handle some of the sharp bumps. And, you know, Jason, it's not a matter of actually managing the bump just itself. It's an issue of when it does hit the bumps and goes over, is there traction on the other side of the bump? I talked to Scotty Jensen about it yesterday, and that's been the big struggle.
Yeah, and you can see it when you go out there and you watch it, and Loris is just trying to be as smooth as he can on the bike, obviously, but they just got to keep chipping away at it, and hopefully they'll land on something for him and continue to make him a little bit more comfortable. You can see Herron's pulling away from those two guys just a little bit, and now Cam is coming into place there. Looks like Bradley Ward and Corey Alexander have gone down. And I'm trying to figure out where this is, and that bike doesn't look good. So I'm trying to see where this has happened, Greg.
And that is a heartbreaker for his team. They were here late last night putting a motorcycle together for Corey Alexander after he had some struggles. This is going to be turn 6. This is going to be that fast right-hander, turn 6. You can see Bradley Ward is limping away. Obviously, last year was not a good year for Bradley here, getting hurt, but I'm happy to see him up. It's been a really, really rough weekend also for Corey Alexander, sadly. A forgettable home race for Corey Alexander out of New York, just up the street, a couple hours where he lives and works in Austining, New York. But how about this guy, Jake Gagne? I mean, you go out there, Jason, on lap 2, you do what Gagne's been doing, just trying to break the will of the rest of the field. He does it by shattering Cameron Beaubier's track record from last year.
But just look, I mean, look how he sits on the bike, how he rides. I mean, it looks a lot like Cam Beaubier, doesn't it?
It
like
does.
When you see him in that position there through turn number 10, it looked, I mean, you literally could have put him and Cam in a side-by-side picture, and they look a lot alike. And this is where I feel like Jake's done a lot better job. If you watch how that bike now is so much more stable than it was last year, and the way he's going from the throttle to the brake, looking at some of his data earlier in the year, he's not even using as much brake pressure as some of the guys that they've been able to get data from the past. A lot of his traces have started to look a lot more like Cam, and even all through here, we used to sit there last year and talk about Cam Beaubier and his riding style and how simple it looked. And now you can really say the same about Jake also. Today he was pushed extremely hard at the beginning, and now, Greg, he's got a 6.1 second lead. He's in the mid-21s. Now everybody else is in the 22s, and he's just kind of riding around. Looks so simple to me, and that was just a word that we used a lot. Can't take anything away from this guy, though, can we?
No, and, you know, that's the whole thing. Matthew Schultz has been faster this season, especially about midway through this season, with him getting on the podium and talking about working on that riding, but also being able to really tell the crew what he needs out of this motorcycle and the crew to take that into account. I mean, just the fact that you have a guy in Matthew Schultz who goes 120.313, trying to chase down Jake Gagne early on in this race and running lap record pace, that says so much about the level of talent we have here in the HONOS Superbike class in MotoAmerica. With Gagne as dominant as he's been, it's been this team, Westby Racing, that has started to answer the call to try to close the gap.
And what you always talk about is how Gagne's broke lap records everywhere we've gone. I mean, I think there was only one track I think that he hasn't so far, and today we've seen that lap record go again here, and it wasn't just by a small margin. 3/10 is a lot in this world, and Matthew Schultz has continued to push his pace as well. You know, and I think that that's just going to hold true going into next year. If everything stays the same, hopefully Matthew can continue with this progression. Now, a little bit further back, Herron is just gapping these guys ever so slightly. Not quite a full second, but now Baz looks like he's in a big hurry to try to do something and go past Cam. That is a really hard place to do that, and that was a good solid pass as they went into turn 5. That kink, Greg, we know there's not a lot of room there.
Hey, look, and there's been no love lost on the racetrack between Cameron Peterson and Loris Baz, as well as Matthew Schultz. You know, so Baz, I guarantee you, under his helmet, enjoyed making that pass. Nice and clean, but aggressive at the same time, and he caught Baz. Baz caught Peterson by surprise.
Yeah, because he sees Herron getting away. And if he feels like he can get that Ducati to run the same pace as Herron, he wants to try to get up there and get up front. He's got 7 to go. As you can see, Cam looks like maybe front tire, because I've seen him run wide in a couple spots, which generally means that you're getting into a corner, you don't feel like the bike is quite underneath you, and you feel like if you keep turning it harder and more that you're going to lose the front. But you can see he had a good run on Cam as they came up over the top of the hill. Cam sits up, Baz goes straight to the apex. Cam knows he's there, sits sets the bike up just a little as that Warhorse Ducati gets shoved right up underneath him and gets through to that 4th place spot. Now we'll see if he can catch up to Herrin at all. Let's get down to Jamie.
Watching as Baz made that pass under full lead, and that was really where he was struggling this morning. He sat on the wall for about 45 minutes after the morning warm-up and was just thinking. He said, you know, I have no trust in this motorcycle. He said, I have no confidence under full lead. There's just not enough grip out there. So watching him in the later stages of this race, developing that confidence and being able to ride through it, good signs for this afternoon also, Hannah.
Well, Jamie, Josh is just ahead of Loris Baz, and I talked to him. He did some work to improve setup to make up some time in the chicane specifically. He thought that it would pay off a lot. Overall, we've talked about Josh Herrin and how he's really stepped up his training this year, but he's really been trying to work more on the mental fortitude side of things. He met with a sports psychologist leading up to this round to help him get mentally fit, and I saw him on the grid talking to Josh Hayes, who's been really instrumental in helping boost Josh's confidence overall. He felt yesterday like he had the pace to be in the second battle, but today he really wanted to focus on who's there in front of him instead of who's behind him, so hopefully that'll help him as Baz is trying to make his way up to Josh.
Well, I think that, you know, having somebody like Josh Hayes in your corner obviously is a good thing, and for Herrin right now, he's going to have to keep his head down because right now Baz is coming after him. He was a half second quicker that time through was Loris Baz over Herrin. So 22.5 for Herrin, 22 flat for Loris Baz. So the fact that Loris can still get down to those times shows that he can be consistent, but he just can't get those early laps in those low 21s or even high 20, low 20s like this guy did. But Baz is able to go 22 flat. Just as a reference, Matthew Skoltz did 22 flat that last lap back also. You can see there what 7.2 seconds look like. That's Bobby Fong just behind Matthew Skoltz, as you saw on our screen there, doing some laps, trying to get that data.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he's getting the black flag is the number 50 Bobby Fong, as Race Direction has determined that because he is 6 laps down in this race, that they don't want him to continue on in the race. So Bobby Fong is getting black flag. When he comes across start-finish line, he gets that flag. So we'll see if the 50 pulls in sometime soon. But meanwhile, Jake Gagne has a 7.2 second lead over Matthew Skoltz, who's got a 5 second lead over Josh Herrin, with Baz closing in on him. Cameron Peterson has lost a little bit. He's down 2. You can see the rear end of the motorcycle spinning up, probably because of what Jason was saying. When the front goes away, you're trying to rely more on the rear end of the motorcycle, and Cam Peterson's starting to drift. Willie drift into the clutches of Hector Barbera in 6th place. There's 17 seconds there. You can see Cam P at top of your screen. So now Baz is trying to track down a podium, and this would be a big win for this home race for the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team if they can put Loris Baz on the podium. But Josh Herrin, he's got his eyes set forward in this one, but it's going to get chippy here as there's about 4.5 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, these two guys raced against each other yesterday on their social media. They both said how much they enjoyed it. You know, now they're racing for a podium. So, you know, somebody's heart's going to get broken here, I think, eventually. But Baz has, when he was able to get past Cam Peterson, he was able to close this distance. Herrin that time responded with a 22.1, so he was almost a half second quicker than he was the lap previous. So he's just got to keep his head down, hit his marks, and do what he's been doing. And for Baz, it's the same thing. Just kind of keep chipping away. He's got 4 laps to try to get up to the back of that number 2 bike and make this pass stick. And I think, Greg, when it does happen, it will be somewhere where it won't maybe be one of our normal spots. It probably won't be down in a turn 1 or somewhere. He might do something like what he did with Cam.
Would you say that the Panigale V4R that Baz is riding looks probably the best I've seen it all weekend?
It definitely looks better. And, you know, look, those guys they're working so hard down there to try to get this bike better. And they know the equipment that they have underneath them is very, very good. They've got a world-class rider in Loris Baz. Now it's just a matter of those two things kind of gelling a little bit. But it definitely isn't through lack of effort from anybody in that Warhorse team. They're all working hard.
No, they're definitely working hard.
This is, you know, looking at the bike through here, the first day, it looked extremely hard to ride. And this looks a lot better for Loris, even through that little 3A, 3BC section there.
The question becomes, if he needs another couple of tenths to attack Josh Herrin, that's when we're going to see if the bike has made some improvements. Yep. All right, back to Jake Lewis, who just passed Ashton Yates for 8th place, and that is a battle in the Superbike Cup, or Stock 1000 racers, Stock 1000 spec machines. And Jamie's got more about Jake Lewis.
Well, for Jake, this is his 6th race in a row now where he's inside of the top 10, and you think he's on a stock 1,000 machine, so it's pretty impressive that what he's been able to do. His goal now is only just to get these Superbike Cup points. He wants the money that comes from it from the end of the season, and that's really all the team is focused on for the rest of today, and then all of the Barber weekend as well. But they were struggling this morning with rear grip, and they made some shock adjustments to try and help him get to the end of the race just a little bit better. But think about this: he has 2 races today on a stock 1,000 bike. They don't have the same suspension, they don't have the same electronic help as the Superbikes do. So he's going to be tired. All of these stock 1,000 riders are going to be pretty worn out at the end of this weekend.
Yeah, no question.
Doubt.
And all the pressure's off him now. He won the championship that he was coming after. And if you remember last year, we saw Cam Peterson on this Altus GS6R 1000. And now look what Cam's doing. He's had a really good year in Superbike. Jake Lewis is a guy that we saw kind of get out of the paddock and gets back in the paddock. Last night on his Instagram, he said he was over 200 pounds, and he's got himself back in race fit, comes out and wins the championship, and he'd be another guy that you'd be able to put on a Superbike and see probably pretty immediate results.
Easily. Battle for 3rd. Josh Herrin, Loris Baz. A lap and a half to go in this race for these two.
Yeah, Josh is not going to be easy.
Say 2 laps, Jay, because Jake Gagne's come across the line on lap 18. He's got a 9-second lead, and he's 13 seconds ahead of these riders.
Yeah, so they're going to be coming to the white flag, and I just don't see anywhere right now where Loris can maybe get close enough to do anything with Herrin. And Herrin, when he sees this white flag, he's going to be really motivated to try to get up on the podium for this team, for his new son, and all the other things that are going to go along with it. For Herrin, he's going to be extremely hard to pass on the last lap, but I would put nothing past the number 76 of Loris Baz if he can get a sniff, and it could be something as simple as some tail enders that we see they are coming up on. Look how much Baz closed up going down into turn 1, Greg. So if you get a back marker at this track in the wrong spot, it can really hurt your lap. So Baz is close enough. He might try to do something in this turn 5 area again. Let's see how good they can both get out of here. That's Joe Giannotto just in front of them.
Yeah, you're going to see. Look at the attitude of Baz's body position. Nice move by Herrin.
Really good.
But he's a little bit wide, but no dramas. Baz has to go really tight. Can he get a turn? Giannotto. And so that really didn't net much. It's still a couple of bike lengths between these two as the white flag flies. We are on the final lap as Gagne, 9.5 seconds ahead of Skoltz. He's on his way to another win. But who's going to occupy the final step on the podium? Boy, corners are running out for Baz.
Really hard for Baz to do anything down through here. Unless he can get in the draft, possibly come into the line. I just don't think he's going to be close enough. Herrin's got to do everything he can to just get through this left-hander as clean as possible. As you can see, Gagne is onto the front straightaway in a mix of back markers. Gagne wins.
Gagne wins that race. And here comes the battle for 3rd. Onto the front straightaway they come. Baz underneath the bubble. Big drive. Takes the checkered flag. And Jake Gagne able to win this one. Matthew Skoltz, Josh Herrin, Loris Baz, Cameron Peterson. And how about this guy? Fresh and lean attack performance Yamahas, Jake Gagne, your 2021 HONOS Superbike champion with that race win. Wow, all focused just on a race, and he does it by breaking Cameron Beaubier's New Jersey Motorsports Park track record. What a statement. 9.5 seconds, the margin of victory. And the work from last night to improve the fresh and lean attack performance Yamaha nets him a track record, another win, and his first HONOS Superbike championship.
Just an incredible year for Jake Gagne, and you can see basically, he just wants to keep winning races, and getting the congrats there from Herrin. All you can do is give respect when you know the guy's on the exact same bike as you, the same team and everything else, and what Gagne's put together. And you can see Herrin doing that right there, giving Gagne a lot of respect there. And now Greg, he can focus on the championship that he's just finally won.
Yeah, he can definitely focus on that. Let it sink in for a couple hours before we have our next race at 3 o'clock. 15 race wins in a row. The record is 16 last year by Cameron Beaubier. And we still have 4 races to go in this season. Unbelievable. What a race for Jake Gagne. We'll step away. When we come back, we're going to hear from our newly crowned champion.
As we take it over in our booth, Robbie Floyd and Roger Hayden here with you. And Raj, 253 now consecutive race laps in front and taking that first championship. It's amazing now that he has 15 race wins in a row. He came into this season without ever winning a HONOS Superbike race.
Yes, just been a really impressive season by Jake. Everything is, going well for him. He's worked really good with his crew. He came into the season really prepared, because everybody was at the Dakota test, and we've seen this starting at that test. And, Jake's a good guy. It's really cool to see. When you see him in the pits, you wouldn't even know he's won 15 races in a row. He's still the same guy he's always been. And for him, it's really, for me, it's good to see, because I know the last couple years, last year he was on a good bike. But there was years, like we did World Superbike and, some other teams where maybe he didn't have the equipment the other guys had. And he never complained. He just did his job. And finally, this year, he's really showing what he can do. I
bought him a drink at the airport at the last round. He's going to have to buy me one at the airport this round. I mean, hopefully he gets some good contingency money and Yamaha. And you see Richard Stamboli, the team principal, down there as well. Corn Dog, a big pat on the back. I mean, not only for Jake, but it was a team effort.
And also, his data guy, this is his first race, Darren Marshall, a guy that was my data guy for a long time. He just has a lot of experience that he's brought into his crew this year with John Cornwall. Darren's been with American Honda, Yoshimura. There's a lot of really good people in his corner. Got a really good team. That's what it takes to win these Superbike races and these Superbike championships. And also, you got to have a heck of a rider, and obviously they got one.
High five, very nice, taking the victory, Jake Gagne, and he'll put on that championship bib. And the cool thing about it with Jake is just the way he's been doing it. And we saw it at the start. They were going to put the pressure on early. You saw the hard drive in there in that initial first turn. It was going to get ugly, but he was there to dive underneath and take advantage.
Yeah, he was there. And Matthew Skoltz, beginning of the race was riding awesome, 20.3. That's just saying that was the previous race track record. So he did what he had to do. He got in there and he tried to go with Jake, hang on as long as he could, but just didn't have the pace after the first couple laps, and did the smart thing and brought it home second. But Jake Gagne, another 9-second victory.
Is that a clean Uribe lid there? And again, more hugs all around. There's Chuck with Westby. Jake Gagne high-fiving the fans. Opportunity for the fans to get down there to the victory podium. They can be a part of the celebration with that fresh and lean attack performance, Yamaha. The CFE crew's going to be down there with our fans of the week. 15 wins in a row. There's still 4 races left in this season. Wrapping things up earlier, doing things that we've never really seen before quite like this, in this way. Had never been done before. All the names that we've had in years past, nobody's ever led that many laps in a row consecutively. The race wins, clicking them off consecutively. We've never seen this, Roger, but we're seeing history being made right in front of our eyes.
And I would be surprised if we ever see it again.
Well, Jason Pridmore and Greg Wright with the call. We're going to send it down or back over to the booth next door, and we're going to hear what the champ has to say. Jake Gagne is your champion.
Let's go!
Welcome back, Jake Gagne. Getting ready to put that #1 shirt on. Heat from Alpine Stars. How about Jake Gagne, Jason? I mean,
yeah, it's unreal.
Dream season, 15 race wins in a row.
Well, the fact that he hasn't even talked about it, almost just like you said, feels like a formality. Like we're were calling this race, and he did such a good job all year long. But to win as many races as he did, and look at the distance here, 9.5 seconds today over Matthew Skoltz, who rode brilliant today. Herron ends up getting that battle for third over Loris Baz. Cam Peterson there in fifth. Barbara does a nice job. Kyle Wyman and Jake Lewis as well took their battle down to the line with Ashton Yates there in ninth. So I mean, but yeah, I mean, you can't. What do you say about Jake Gagne? We saw Cameron Bobia in years past, and we're thinking, how can any records be broke? And he's shattered a lot of them this year.
He certainly has, and he is with Hannah right now.
On behalf of the AMA FIM North America, we have the Deputy Director of Racing, Mike Burkeen, presenting Jake Gagne with the official #1 plate. Thank you so much, Mike. Big congratulations all around to Jake Gagne. Jake, you've been calm and collected all season long, and at the start of this race, you said this one is no different from any other, but it is your championship-winning victory. That's got to feel pretty good right now.
It's amazing. I mean, thank you to Yamaha, Fresh and Lean, Attack Performance, all of our sponsors. I mean, it shows. This program has been amazing this year. These Yamahas are rolling, and I just got a great crew. We're having a lot of fun racing motorcycles, and what an amazing year. And yeah, I wanted to go out hard. You know, I gave it everything I got every lap, whether or not the championship's on the line or not. But yeah, I'm so pumped, and we got some more racing to do today, though, so can't get too excited yet. We got to get back to work 20 more laps later, and hats off to the boys for keeping me on it, man. These guys are really, it's fun racing with them, and fun to have all these fans out here. And race 2, let's go.
Your 2021 HONOS Superbike champion, Jake Gagne. Let's get over to Jamie with second place.
And it is 7 consecutive podiums now for Matthew Skoltz. I listened as Chuck Giacchetto, the Westby Racing team manager, came. He said he's so proud of you. You've been calm this weekend. When you have that mindset with 3 races on the weekend, how does that translate to the way you're able to ride?
I mean, I think this year we've been trying to find a pretty good setting with the bike. So we made a couple of changes every practice, and sometimes we go backwards and I maybe get a little bit like flustered. But this weekend we've just been moving forward every practice. So I got to give a shout out to the Westby Racing team. They've been awesome, coming away with 2 seconds to Jake is basically like us. Winning, really, you know. Just want to say a big up to Jake. You know, he's won I think 15 races straight now. He's the champion, deservedly so. And if there's somebody in this paddock that I do not mind beating me, it's definitely Jake. You know, we've been friends since the Red Bull Rookies Cup back in '09, I think it was. We raced in the Moto2 and Spanish Championship together. So we basically grown up racing and just progressing through the ranks from 1 to 5, Moto2, 600, and now onto Superbike and racing at the top national level here. But yeah, just really looking forward to race 3 and trying to maybe pick up the mid-race pace. I kind of dropped off a lot there, trying to follow Jake in the first couple of laps. Yeah, we'll just come out swinging in the third race and hopefully try to do something there.
A little bit of respectful competition. Second place finisher Matthew Skoltz. Hannah?
Rounding out our Yamaha podium sweep today for Attack Performance Yamaha is Josh Herron. Josh Baz was really closing that gap, making his way up to you. What was it that made the difference for you today over yesterday's race?
To be honest, my coach and old teammate told me, hey, let's get rid of the plus on your board. Just focus on what's in front of you, and it was a huge difference. You know, this Jake's on a whole nother level, and Matthew's finally figured out what it takes, and he's going to be there, I think, in the third race. So we need to step up huge for the third one if we want to be up even close to Matthew. But I just want to give a huge shout out to my whole team, the Fresh and Lean Attack Yamaha team has been working hard all year for me. It's been a year that we didn't expect. We thought we'd get some better results, but it's been a struggle. But we're going to continue working hard, and I just really appreciate those guys putting in all the effort for me. Gotta say thanks to Rachel and Baby Griffin back home. I know they're watching, and it's awesome knowing that he was able to make it for these last 2 rounds and be able to watch. So it's a huge motivation, and I just got a whole new feeling for racing whenever he was born. It was something else that mattered more in life, and this was able to become something that was a lot more fun. And this weekend, I'm just trying to have a whole different approach on things and just have fun and get back to what I used to be like. And yeah, just thanks to the entire crowd. Thanks to all the sponsors. Fresh and Lean stepped up huge this year and helped us out. I really appreciate it. And congratulations to Jake. He's on a whole nother level that we haven't seen since the Mladen era. And it's really impressive to sit behind him and watch him whenever I get that chance to sit there. And so yeah, thank you to everybody and look forward to the third race.
Congrats, Josh. And Greg and Jason, these guys are getting ready to do this all again later today.
Yeah, they certainly will. And just, wow, Jason, just about 3 hours time, 3 hours and 12 minutes. They're going to be back on the racetrack for our final HONOS Superbike race here in New Jersey. But your new champ is Jake Gagne. We have more coming at you from NJMP in a moment.
Carl, what have you done?
Think anyone will notice?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you ride, you get it.
Yeah, they will.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
The American Motorcyclist Association sanctions MotoAmerica Professional Road Racing, the home of the AMA Superbike Championship. We also sanction more than 100 amateur road racing events across the country, offering member discounts on lodging and gear and AMA member-exclusive roadside assistance options for emergencies. The AMA also supports your right to race. Backing the RPM Act, join today at AmericanMotorcyclist.com or call 1-800-AMA-JOIN.
Today's Superbike race coverage has been sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by HONOS, the apparel brand promoting talent within the adrenaline sports realm.
Welcome back. Race 2 highlights. Jason, Jake Gagne had some competition for about 200 feet.
Yeah, and you know, you can see Bobby Fong goes around the outside of him here, gets a little bit loose. A couple guys went by Bobby after that, both Gagne and Schultz. Schultz does such a nice job. These guys, I mean, broke the lap record 20 flat for Gagne on the second lap, third lap, and you can see Bobby was trying to hang in there, Greg. He ends up tipping off, and then not too long later, Tony Elias gets a big double draft from Cam Peterson and Josh Herron as they come down the straightaway, gets into one a little bit too deep, gets out wide, loses the front. So he's another guy that's going to be coming up from a little bit further back. But can't say enough about these two guys. They were the class of the field today. Matthew Schultz says he's going to be working on his mid-race pace. Loris Baz late in the race goes up underneath Cam Peterson and put a charge on to try to get back up to Josh Herrin. And as you can see, Gagne coming across the line here to collect his championship, his first Superbike championship, and well-deserved after a huge winning streak for the season.
And some kind words for his competitors as Gagne stands on top of the box. We'll have more from Jersey after this.
Had that whistle going here in Millville and taking the championship. All right, we talked about Jake Gagne. Let's work our way through the rest. Roger Hayden, I'm Robbie Floyd. Matty Schultz, in there at the start, he said he tried staying in there with him and seeing what he was doing. He was able to do that for a little while, and then he got out of sight.
Yeah, in the beginning of the race, he was right there, did what he had to do. He was aggressive and put himself in the right spot, get right behind Jake right off the by turn 3, and he hung on as long as he could. His lap times were great at the beginning of the race. He kept Jake in sight under a second for 5 or 6 laps, and then just from there, Jake started slowly, pulling away, and once Jake got about a 1.5 lead, then it started taking 0.6 a lap out and just slowly built from there.
You hear about breaking them. You hear it in cycling, in the Tour de France. You hear it everywhere. Well, he broke away, and he definitely broke away from Schultz. Herrin was pushing hard to the end. Baz, he really wanted a piece of him. I thought it was going to get really, really good there at the end.
Yeah, they were a little bit closer. I think it was going to be some fireworks between those two. But they had a good race yesterday, and I think they like to race close. And that's a good run for Josh after being off a couple races and, have some stuff going on, have a kid come in here and get a third-place finish. Lap times really well, so I'm happy to see Josh get up there on a podium.
Aaron's been listening to the other Josh Hayes, and he said, focus on what's in front of you. Don't worry about anything else that's going on behind you. It paid off that time. Cam Peterson was good to start, and I know he has some issues when that tire starts going away or falling off a little bit. Him and that bike aren't gelling right, and it just seems to kind of exacerbate himself. He needs to find something here. I don't know if they can do it today, but they need to find something for Barber at least.
Yeah, and we were talking about at the beginning of the week, too, with Cam Peterson. He looked like the next best guy behind Jake Gagne on Friday. Was second in all the sessions, was right there. So a little bit surprised, but whatever it is that they're struggling with now that the races have started, it just doesn't seem like he's as strong as he was on Friday. But, hey, he gets one more race. Hopefully he can figure it out. He was right there in that podium battle till the last 4 or 5 laps.
Only one guy won this race. That was Jake Gagne. We got small victories, and one of those victories is for Hector Barber, 6th. And he started, 11th, 10th, 11th?
15th he started.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he passed that many people. That's right. Started way back, worked up to 6th. That's like a victory for him because now he gets to start on that second row. Who knows what he can do? He might be that guy that we haven't talked about yet because he hasn't been up front. I think we may see him this next time.
I mean, just going off the warm-up this morning, he was the fastest guy in the warm-up at 21.1. You put that in perspective for this race, that's the same lap times Josh Herrin and the guys for the podium did. So hopefully – getting a start on the second row, he can get a really good start and be another guy in the mix.
Jake Lewis not having to worry about Travis Wyman. Jake Lewis finishes in 8th, Wyman in 12th, so that's more championship points for the Superbike Cup. Unfortunately for Corey Alexander, we saw him go off. It looks like his chances for that championship look like they could be out the window unless some serious misfortune. But now Jake Lewis in his mind's going, I'm getting closer. I can win my Stock 1000 and do the same thing in Superbike Cup.
Yeah, he's getting really close. And, beginning of the race, he was behind a lot of his competitors, Stock 1000. You see that's him and Ashton Yates. Looks just like the Stock 1000 race yesterday. Last couple laps. But for Jake, he got another win, another Superbike Cup win. And he's built up a nice little points gap.
As long as he keep those guys behind him, the stash, Michael Gilbert, Danilo Lewis, those are guys battling for that Superbike Cup title.
Who Patriots have today?
Welcome back to New Jersey Motorsports Park. And Jake Gagne wraps up this championship 4 races early. At this point of the season, Jason, there's only 400 points total to be scored, and Gagne's got 375 of those. Jason, looking at this championship, what is it like? You've been in this position before. What's it like to finally wrap up a championship? Because Gagne, if he says that they weren't even looking at points or adding up points, I actually believe him because Gagne's one of the greatest at running his own program.
something to be said for that. And I think that when you look at things that he's done, I think your crew, I mean, that's the biggest thing. When you win a championship, you think about all the people that helped get you to where you're at. And it's great seeing Stamboli up on the podium with Jake celebrating that championship. He's probably just wanting to look at the data already for race
I noticed
number
that.
3 of our
but
weekend.
He did smile. We saw Stamboli smile. We don't see that every day.
Yeah, no, it's exactly right. But Gagne's just put together such an incredible year. And I think when you go on a win streak like that, especially when your points lead continues to grow and get bigger, you've already kind of just thought to yourself, there's no pressure on you. Just let this thing happen. And that's what he did all year long. And he was brilliant doing it.
So Jake Gagne now has the shackles off. This championship is done and dusted. The rest of this field's going to be gunning for him because we have one more race to go today in HONOS Superbike at 3 p.m. East on FS2. So make sure you join us. For Hannah Lope and Jamie Howe and Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for checking us out here on FS1. Jake Gagne, your national champion, and he wants more.